Alright, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm Martin Wenzel. Hope you're having a good morning or a good evening wherever you are in the world. Welcome in, welcome in. Alright, I gotta just set a few things up here. Let's get that 738 calculator loaded in and the cars up. Go. Alright, welcome. Welcome, we're going to be doing World Tour Flight here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. World Tour Flight 247 from Brisbane, Australia out to Norfolk Island. Yankee Bravo Bravo November to Yankee Sierra November Foxtrot. Hey Carol. Hey Bojan from before, a little earlier. Already in here. Yeah, I remember you, Carol. Few streams ago, a couple streams ago. Been about a week since our last stream. But yeah, let's just keep going on this setup here. Let's see, we got the we're headed out to Norfolk Island. We're gonna be on Qantas flight 183 today in the PMDG Boeing 737-800. And while we were talking about all that, I should have been kind of just doing a little spin around here. We can see some fall colors. You know, we're kind of coming into winter here. Still early winter. And there's Brisbane, downtown Brisbane off in the distance, looking beautiful. We got a few other planes here. We're down at gate 84, far end of the, I want to say the south end of the airport. Got a few Jetstars and a Qantas over there. Get inside the plane, get things started up. Get on the right screen. Okay, FS actions. We do have ground power. We're gonna also want to go to our fueling right away. We're gonna request that fuel truck. We might have enough fuel already. Let's just double check all that. My camera's a little dim here. Let's fix that. Falling YT. Been waiting for this stream. Awesome. Yeah, welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully a good flight. You can already see here what we got for a plan. We got Brisbane to Norfolk Island and an alternate of November Whiskey, which I believe is alternate. That is Tantua. Okay, New Caledonia. Yep, New Caledonia, where we've been already. I'm looking for our fuel. On fuel right here, block fuel 9692, so we do have enough fuel actually on board. We're gonna go 9700. Go down here. Fueling.
Refueling truck is on its way. Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Okay, so I'm not sure why PMDG is sending their fuel truck. I still haven't been able to get it to work. Or I haven't tried it. I need to have time. You can see, or this is PMDG's fuel truck, and then GSX Pro is sending his fuel truck over there, and I need to figure out why I'm having both of them show up and which one's better to use. But I like to use the PMDG one right now because it seems to have given me the least amount of issues. Going through the rest of our pages there, that's all good. Back to the menu. PMDG setup, we should find there. All right, so let me get
fuel
my
truck is in position.
checklist out here, and let's get things started.
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
All right, so battery is on, hydraulic on and covered. Hydraulic, electric pumps are off there from 1 and 2. Landing gear lever is down and 3 green. Why'd I lose? What happened? My ground power gar. Ground power. What just happened? Usually when you turn the battery on, you do get at least this screen to do some actions with PMDG. I have power, but no ground power. If we can start the queue at least. Okay. So that's weird because usually you'll have ground power. On ground power. I don't know why I'm not getting ground power. Very strange. Very, very strange. Loyal. At least this light came on, so it means something's going on. Waiting for this to pop up. We'll see that. Or this could be a short flight. Yeah. Always fun when something like this happens where suddenly nothing works properly. Again, typically it is fueling us. Oh no. Nothing's changed. Not actually connected either. This is beyond irritating because power was connected and now we've lost it for some reason. Things have gone off. Like, what changed? We literally looked up here and absolutely amazing. My ground power. Okay. That's wild. And there is ground power right there. Let's see if I can get the ground power through GSX and maybe that'll work. It is connected. Really need two of them. PMDG one again works pretty nice. Alright, battery switch on and covered. Why are we not getting screens? This is irritating. Anyone know what's going on here? Don't really do much on this plane if you don't have the screens. I mean, nothing is... What? What happened? It's wild. Why? God, I love that. Then you gotta kind of do the unrealistic thing of restarting the whole... Nothing changes. Uh-huh, alright. I mean, we got -15. I don't know what's going on with the battery. Don't know why ground power isn't working. Got fluffy chairs. So now we got two powers set up here. Do I have to just restart the flight? Like, where did my power go? I literally don't have electrical on this plane. It just doesn't work. Alright, so we're just gonna restart. I guess I'm gonna restart the whole thing, and that's always irritating.
Breaks to request ground services.
I don't know. I don't have enough checklists to deal with that problem, if that's an actual thing. See, I mean, here we got the battery on, and there it is. I don't know what what really happened there.
Catering vehicles are on their way.
There's ground power. Turn ground power on quickly enough. All right, so I got ground power on. That way we shouldn't lose electrical again. Back into ground services. Got plenty of fuel. Put it on here, 9,700. All right. Let's go through that again. We got the landing gear down. That's what we wanted. Not sure why things just decided to crap out on us. Ground power on. Check the overheat detector switch. Then the normal position, and we're going to do the fault in up. We're going to do the fire overheat warning. We're looking for wheel well, fire warning, all that's to light up. Perfect. Extinguisher test. Alright. Go up top, we'll start the APU. Alright, manual gear extension, access doors closed, emergency equipment checked. I believe we did the cargo fire already, down there. Yeah. I don't know where the extinguisher one is. I think it's that one right there. It says press a button. I don't know what button I'm supposed to be pressing to do that. So, might be missing something. No big deal. Circuit breakers. I mean, no big deal in the sim. Going through up top. Want to do our flight recorder test. Lock airspeed warning test. Now this one hasn't been working lately. Stall warning. It should be. You should be hearing the clicking and the. If we were looking down here, you'd see these guys just moving around like crazy. Up here to our IRS test. Sometimes the test will show that. Sometimes it doesn't. The line. Right. I like to get my panel lights turned up. Go around. Okay. Down into the flight computer. Things set up. We are at Yankee Bravo November 884. Copy that down. Up back up top. Switch to nav. Set for our IRS. That's going to line up into our route. Origin Yankee Bravo November, and then Yankee Sierra November Foxtrot. Flight number 183. Runway. Get our clearance for that.
West clearance to Norfolk Island with information. Tango.
Qantas 183, clear to Norfolk Island via Gumkey 1, departure, runway 01 right, initial climb 3000, then as filed, squawk 6546.
Cleared to Norfolk Island via Gumkey 1, departure, runway 01 right, initial climb 3000, then as filed, squawk 6546, Qantas 183.
Alright, so I can't talk.
Qantas 183,
Runway
left back correct,
01
when
right.
ready, contact Brisbane ground 121.7.
When ready, contact Brisbane ground 121.7, Qantas 183.
Get our route in here. Gumkey. Yankee 98 for our airway. Over here via. It's a Boney. Golf 329. shallows. And then we'll have an arrival for runway 29. We're gonna have a pretty decent crosswinds, at least at this moment. Hit execute on that, and we'll go to departure arrival. Departure runway 01 right, and gum key 1. Execute, legs, for any discontinuities. And one we have is, we don't have our arrival yet, which we'll put in once we're up in the air and send that up. Alright, performance page, 0 fuel weight right there. Fuel, we got 9.8. Reserves today, we're going with 4.2. And a lot of reserves because basically our alternate is the length of the flight. That's why half our fuel is just to get to our alternate. Cost index of 5 and cruising level of 330, 33,000 feet. Our cruise wind, $399. Transition is 11,000 or 10,000. All right. Well, at this point, we're going to call up and let the passengers start boarding. 1 second, we want to make sure we have our payload set properly. We do have 176 passengers today. Right there we got, actually we don't have enough room for 176 with a 2 class, so we got to switch that. So PMDG setup, aircraft, equipment. I wish I could remember where all this stuff is. Gotta be in equipment, right? You can decide like what kind of plane you're flying. If it's got a two class or single class, or single class, I guess. Turn, setup. FS actions, payload, and you can see now we can put 176 passengers on there. I guess we're just doing a single class. We don't have any first class. 0 fuel weight there. So back into our init ref. Gonna slightly change. Put that in. Here? Oh, okay. Weird. Alright. Yeah, it's a very realistic. I mean, PMDG does a good job. They're kind of lagging behind because they still don't have an electronic flight bag, which everyone else has. A little kind of disappointing that they don't have it. Alright, so let's get the passengers called up and boarding.
Boarding requested.
Alright, you can see right there we got our cargo doors opening. The forward entry will open soon. We'll go to APU.
Passengers boarding started.
Alright, so we really can't see the passengers coming on since we have this beautiful jetway. But if we jump inside, we can. There they are. Coming on board. Alright, so we got 9.7, verifying that again for our fuel. I'm gonna pull up the performance calculator I've got. Alright, we're going runway 01 right. That, here all of our weights are proper. They are. Calculate.
I'm doing good.
You know, well. Alright, so we're gonna go flaps. We don't have an outside air temperature or anything, so we're gonna keep that at our just regular temperature. We're doing a D rate 6K, 26K. The takeoff page flaps 5. Center of gravity and trim 5.82. Then our V speeds are slightly different. I like to go, I'll go with what the plane has since they're a little bit higher. And you can see our margin is 1,376 feet, so we can make these speeds just a little bit higher, not too much detriment. Be fine. You can see our engine out stuff 1100, and then landing altitude is 50, which is our current runway. We'll go right here, 50. Put our cruise in before we forget to do that. Thanks for the follows, Stevo. Suck my ass. Hey, this is a family. Oh, okay, it's not a family channel. Thanks for the follow. Over there on Twitch, thank you very much. Falling YT has been, or Falling YouTube. Falling has been to all states and areas in Australia, but I've never been to Norfolk Island. Real life or in the sim? How you doing, Stevo? Alright, so 33,000 for our cruise, 50 for our landing altitude. There we got them loading up with the cargo. 2 different baggage carts, pretty cool. What were we doing? We're in here, got our V speeds, trim 5.82.
I'm doing good.
Falling, real life, been everywhere in Australia, every state and territory in Australia except for Norfolk Island, which is kind of an overseas territory. Okay, midway between, kind of basically midway between New Caledonia, New Zealand, and Australia. Alright, good to hear, Stevo. Glad to have you here. We're flying out to Norfolk Island, if you didn't know that already, from the description and title and all the little doohickeys showing that. We're in the Boeing 738. I'm Martin Wenzel. Glad to have you here. Turn some lighting up. Alright, so we want our V2 speed right here, 154. Runway heading of... Turn that off. Let's turn that guy off. What's my runway heading? 27. That doesn't seem right. $16. Is it 16 or is it 27? Magnetic variation, maybe, I don't know. 16. And we are initially cleared to 3,000 feet. Alright, sounds like the passengers are all on board. Don't see any more coming on. I'm teaching you to fly. Start rating. Real life rating? Because if you're doing the real life rating, I don't know. But, pretty cool if you're doing that real life. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing, my plan is get into real life flight training next year. Qantas pilot on the A330. Oh geez, now I'm nervous. Moving to the 737. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of videos about like how like that training, you know, moving to a plane, or when you get to initial for an airline and you're doing all the simulator and learning all the flows and everything. And I figure something like this would be very helpful for that kind of stuff, where it's like, okay, you can, you know, they have the posters and stuff and all that, and it's like, well, here you can kind of look around almost in almost more of a 3D element. So I figure if you are familiar and you're using accurate planes here in Flight Simulator or X-Plane, kind of got a little bit of a leg up as far as just having a familiarity with the where various things are. Obviously, reading the manual and doing all the actual flow training and how everything actually works a lot better than watching me, but yeah, hope I can kind of some ideas. All right, so we are almost loaded. Go through. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if there's, I know it's kind of a, I've heard things where it's like, oh, it's a detriment. I don't think it's a detriment. I think you just got to realize, you know, I think it's a great way to familiarize yourself with where things are and just kind of the layout. And, you know, I can tell you, if you put me in, you put me in a training situation like that, it's like I'd be like, okay, I know where things are. Now it's how do I actually do it? The real flows, the real checklists and all that. But having an idea of like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. I know, yeah, where do I set the barometric reference? Oh yeah, it's right there. All that. Cool. Got the Airbus, yeah, the Airbus yoke, yeah, the joystick, right? You got all that stuff. That's cool. Now it's crazy how long training is. You know, just rating for a new plane. What, a couple, not even a couple months, 2-3 months at least, right? All right, we got the FMC set up. Pressurization panel is set. Glare shield set. Okay, stabilizer trim. Start levers in the cutoff. Light test.
Brisbane clearance. Velocity 122 made. Gate 43. Request clearance to Yankee Sierra Charlie Bravo with information. Tango.
Velocity 122
All right.
clear to Yankee Sierra Charlie Bravo via Sierra
Yaw damper on. Navigation, we got normal. Blaze, auto, normal. Engine valve closed, dimmed. Spar valve closed, dimmed. Crossfeed closed, light. Should go off. Filter bypass off.
3,400. Then as filed. Squawk 6552. Velocity 122 made.
All right, equipment.
Velocity 122.
Looking for all the different lights that should be off. They are.
Brisbane ground 121.7.
When ready, contact Brisbane ground 121.7. Velocity 122 made.
Seatbelt signs automatic. Hydraulic pumps all on. Turn on our exterior lights. Logo light on. Left ignition switch. And we're in the off position for our starters. When I was on the 747 with Atlas, that took like 6 months. Oh my, that's crazy. It's just insane. But better to know what you're doing than be put in kind of just like, I don't know. Right. So let's see, EFIS, set the way I want it. Yeah, it is. It's a pretty intense like list. It's got like every little tiny detail. We don't need to do every little thing. It'd be cool to. I'm kind of saving money right now, but it'd be cool to have that the co-pilot for this plane. I have it for the fly-by-wire A32NX, which is really nice because they'll do the first officer or pilot not flying flows, and then I can do the pilot flying flows, and that's nice. All right, light controls as desired. Auto brakes, RTO, and both things. All right, pre-flight checklist: oxygen tested 100%. Navigation, transfer, and display switches normal and auto right there. Window heat on. Pressurization mode selector auto. Flight instruments heading 016. Altimeter 3000. Parking brake set. Engine start levers in the cutoff position. All right, doors are all closed for the forward entry. Fuel good. Do the before start checklist. Flight deck door closed and locked. Hey Lucas, following on Twitch. Thank you for following over here or watching over here also. Right. The flight deck door closed and locked. Fuel 9,700 kilograms. Pumps on. Passenger signs auto. Windows locked. V2 154. Heading 16. Altitude 3000. Takeoff speeds 144, 146, 154. Pre-flight completed. Rudder and aileron trim free and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing completed. Anti-collision light on, and we are ready for a pushback. Thanks for the follow. Oh yeah, the parking brake light should be on. I have the wheel chocks, I think, so it defaults to having the wheel chocks on. Prefer. We'll make sure we get that on.
Brisbane ground.
There we go. Now the parking brake's actually on.
Request pushback and start up.
Qantas 183.
And we'll remove the wheel chocks.
Pushback and start up approved. Qantas 183.
Well, it's crazy. It's always fun flying this plane because I flew this plane all the time back in X-Plane. I always flew the it was the Ziva one. It was just the modification for the free plane that came with X-Plane, the 737-800. I didn't get the PMDG for X-Plane, but then when I came over to Microsoft Flight Simulator, I had to learn the Airbus for the A320. Got really used to that, and then when I got the PMDG, it was like, why is the forward door still open? Okay, there we go. Like, can we close the door? There we go. Yeah, I got back into this plane and it was like, whoa, I don't remember it looking like this, any of this stuff, but getting back used to it. Yeah, it's a nice plane. So much automation. Alright, so we're going to push back to on our tail to the left.
Release parking brakes, please. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Ah, your dinner table, yeah. Alright, starting engine 1. Well, actually, we got to axe left and right off. And starting engine 2. Starting engine number 2. I'm looking for the N2 to get to 20%. Start valve open, low oil pressure. N1 starting to climb, EGT. Go the idle with our 2. Actually push back properly. Good enough, I guess. Parking brakes. Go.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Starting engine 1. Yeah, it's an add-on. Let me see, do I have it in my... I don't have it in my list of mods. If I can find it. It's on...
Velocity 1228. Contact Brisbane Tower 118.0.
Contact Brisbane Tower 118.0. Velocity 1228.
You can find it on flightsim.to. Simbrief, if I can find it. Yeah, it's really cool to bring it right in. It's called Simbrief panel. Pretty easy. If I can link it to you, I will. There you go, Simbrief panel. Yeah, I love it because now I don't have to. Well, what I used to do, at least on the stream, is like I'd have to have another little window so you guys could see my Simbrief and see my flight plan. Now I can just pull it up and boom, there it is, right in everything. You can even go with the raw one. Really cool. All right, did I tell him I have a good engine start? Not yet. I haven't disconnected.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
All right, so Gen 1 and 2 engine generators. We can switch here to Gen 1. Packs left and right come back on. APU bleed off. APU off. I believe we set the isolation valve to off. Where is that? Yep. Isolation to auto.
Unlocking gear.
Alright, after start checklist, generators on. Probe heat on. Anti-ice. We don't need it. So it's going to be off. Isolation valve auto. Engine start switch is continuous.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Recall checked.
Left is clear.
Auto
Right
brake
is clear.
RTO. Flight controls checked. And ground equipment clear. Pushback and clearances. Okay, so the pushback is pushback and everything like the passengers, all this ground equipment. It's called GSX Pro. Yeah, no more alt tabbing. I got 3 screens, so I don't have to do that. But yeah, when I only had 1 screen, I had to do a lot of alt tabbing or however that worked. GSX Pro. Let's see if I have that. I think I have that there. Now, some of this is pay. Like the Simbrief one is totally free. GSX Pro is pay. It's a little finicky. It just adds in a little extra stuff, but you know, not necessary. Depends on how much other stuff you want going on with your simulation. And then the ATC I'm using is FS HUD ATC, but there is a new one coming out that I've heard about that sounds like it might even be better, even more voices, more functionality. So I'd keep an eye out. There's various things like that coming down the pipeline.
183, request taxi.
Qantas 183, taxi to holding point, runway 01 right, via Charlie 10, Bravo, Bravo 9er.
Oops. Oh, I don't want to start the
Taxi
APU.
to holding
No, no.
point, runway 01 right, via Charlie 10, Bravo, Bravo 9er, Qantas 183.
All right, here we go. Let's taxi to holding point, runway 01 right, via Charlie 10, Bravo, Bravo 9, Qantas 183. Here's my map, so yep, we're turning right away. There, Charlie 10. If we had actually been pushed back properly, we'd be on the taxi line itself. On my screen right over here that I'm looking at, I've got the smaller screen. It's got my OBS for the stream, my chat window, so when I'm looking at what you're saying, that's why I'm kind of looking off this direction. I've moved my camera. I had my camera on this screen before, so when I was chatting with you guys, I'd actually be looking at you. Then I got my camera over here, my main screen, which is ultra wide, is why I kind of have some... I'm cutting off a little bit of my screen for the ultra wide, but I'm getting most of it. And then on my screen over here, right now I got Navigraph charts pulled up so I can navigate the airport. I'll cycle through that. And I'm wondering why we got runway 01 right, to be honest. Because we have nice tailwinds there, but I guess we'll... No, we're already cleared for it. I didn't double check the weather before getting our... I wonder if that will work. Is that working? I wonder if I have to turn on if that's hooked up with that might be one of the things that's not working on my stream right now, because I think I need to have StreamBot on, and I don't know if I have StreamBot even installed anymore right now. Yep. I'm not sure how that works, if that's something... What? Why isn't that working? Because I do have... Actually, that should be in Stream Elements. What's going on with this? Because that isn't StreamBot, that should be... Yeah. Well, maybe I don't have that. Yeah, maybe I don't have that, that one. Well, once I get in the air, let me double check it and fix that. Maybe I don't have a specs one. I could have sworn I did. But I might not. That's simple enough to make. Alright, Bravo 9. And technically, we're switching over to Alpha 9 right here.
Qantas 183, contact Brisbane Tower 118.0.
Contact Brisbane Tower 118.0. Qantas 183.
Alright. Alright, we got flaps 5, green light. Before takeoff checklist, flaps 5, green light, stabilizer trim. We got 5.81. Is there a way to see where that's somewhere? Ready for departure.
Brisbane Tower, Qantas 183, runway 01 right, ready for departure.
Qantas 183, line up, runway 01 right.
Line up, runway 01 right, Qantas 183.
And lining up, runway 01 right. Yeah, so actually we have an 8-knot tailwind, so I didn't brief, kind of didn't get the weather right, or didn't pull the right weather or something. I should be taking off the other direction. At least that's what the Navigraphs is telling me the weather is. The weather within Flight Simulator might be completely different. It's such a...
Runway 01 right, cleared for takeoff. Qantas 183.
Yeah, following, I use a joystick.
Positive rate of climb.
You're up. No, I believe that's included with the
Qantas 183.
PMDG.
Contact Brisbane, departure 118.45.
Contact Brisbane departure.
I think like the fly-by-wire also does that. Phoenix, you know, the different
Brisbane departure.
planes. They'll have that co-pilot call things out.
1,500, climbing 3,000.
Qantas 183. Radar contact. Continue climb 8,000. UNH 1013.
Continue climb 8,000. Qantas 183.
See our other traffic right there. I'll throw on the autopilot, anti-skid off. Try to get some outside shots.
Qantas 183. Climbing 8,000.
Climb and maintain 8,000. Qantas 183.
There's the other plane right there. Coming in for landing. That'd be really cool. Yeah, I wish I had the whole panel. I see some guys, I mean, obviously there are some guys that have the whole, they got the whole simulator set up. There's one guy on Twitch, he's got a full motion in his house, which is insane. But yeah, it'd be cool just even just to have like these panels and stuff, you know, to be able to actually touch the switches. It's kind of hard sometimes to get the right switch, always. Whereas, obviously, you just flip that switch in real life and along you go. Doesn't have gates. I just put it as a speed brake instead and bind the flaps to buttons on a joystick. Oh, so you don't have there's no like speed brake with it? I haven't looked at the PCA one in a while. Man, what do I got here? I have set up. That's why. Maybe I'll change that. What did you put in? Spec? Change that. Change that command to spec. Specs. There. Now if you put in that specs, it should show you. There it is. Is this up to date? I think it is. Yeah, it is. wonder if there's a way to make that not come out as a word salad like it looks. But yeah, I need to add some stuff like the audio, like my microphone. What microphone I have? What microphone do I have? Or what camera do I have? Right in front of me. I think it is.
Qantas 183, climb and maintain flight level 170.
I maintain flight level 170, Qantas 183. Where is the button? After takeoff checklist, engine bleeds, on, packs, auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up, no lights. After takeoff checklist complete. Fighting with my friend, is it pop or soda? Well, where I live, it is soda. Now Wisconsin, where I live, the state I live, is kind of split. So Milwaukee, south, eastern Wisconsin, where I grew up, and where I live currently now, it's soda. We say soda. In northwestern Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, where I grew up and went to elementary school, middle school, high school, basically from the age of, 8, I think, until 18, I lived there. It was pop. Now, I never called it pop. I can't remember if I heard a lot of people calling it pop or not. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing because you go to standard pressure there. Standard pressure now. 10,000 our transition. But there's some places where they're like, oh, it's soda. You know, you got soda, you got pop, you got soda pop, and then you go down south, especially Georgia, where basically everything like Pepsi, it was Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola. Funny, they call it all Coke though. It's just kind of funny because Pepsi Cola, a lot of the sodas all started down there in Georgia. You'd think they'd call it like cola, but they instead call it Coke. So they're kind of, they'll call Pepsi Coke, they'll call everything, basically any soda is a Coke. Then I guess you specify which one you want. And of course their sweet tea is huge down there as well. Like here, I just want to update the specs. Logitech webcam CD9.
Qantas 183, climb and maintain flight level 190.
Climb and maintain flight level 190, Qantas 183.
Okay, 190. So I always forget that you guys can't see. I can actually see on my screen right now, I can see the altitude. So that's how, basically, I'm cutting off about that much. There's a normal view. I can see the altitude. I can see about that much over there. Now, of course, a little bit more on this side. So I got the widescreen for the flying.
Climb and maintain flight level 280. Contact the Auckland Oceanic Center 120.1.
Climb and maintain flight level 280. Contact Auckland Oceanic.
Yeah, we're supposed to adjust the bank angle.
120.1. Qantas 183. Auckland Oceanic Center, Qantas 183, inbound, Boeing, at flight level 150, climbing.
Yeah, there's certain things I just kind of skip. I don't really focus on too much, unless I've done it a million times, which is again why training in real life on these planes is, you know, you do how many months of it, and you're usually flying on one engine with an engine on fire, right? So I was just listening to Pro Pilot Playbook, a couple of corporate pilots. They got this cool podcast and little thing to help people get into the industry and learn how to do it, and they're really encouraging people to get in. They're like, this is the best time to get in. And they were talking about are they ever scared? Have they ever been scared when they're flying? Right? Is flying scary? And they kind of got into talking about, like, with all the, whenever you do a type rating, whenever you're doing your training, and every 6 months or every 12 months you're going in and doing that simulator and stuff, and you're just getting run through the ringer, where the guy running the simulator is just trying to kill you. So most of the time you're flying on one engine with, your ailerons don't work, or you gotta, your engine, you have an engine fire, you're always doing that, and you're just doing it so many times that it does become, hopefully, at least the normal flying becomes second nature. Obviously, you still want to be running those checklists, because that's where you get in trouble, when something becomes second nature and then you don't do checklists. We do, like, in trucking, I do trucking, and so much of it is automated for me. But if you miss something because you just have a brain fart, you can have big issues, and it'd be really awesome to have a checklist, that have an actual checklist sometimes, get back into my seat and go, okay, did I do this, and this? And when I remember on Quora, I saw someone ask a question like, why, this was one of these pilots that I would not want to fly with or be in a plane with, where he's like, why does the Air Force allow their pilots to cheat by having a checklist? Like, how's that cheating? That's every pilot should be running through their checklist. That's the point of a checklist, is to double check, make sure you did everything. It's for safety. It's not like, oh, you're letting them not have to learn everything. It's like, you need to know how to do everything. Seatbelt sign auto. I want my coffee. Oh yeah, let's turn that seatbelt sign off. Here you go. I flew in Papua in Indonesia and the bush, North Australia. Many scary moments. Yeah, flying those places. Yeah, depends on where you're flying too. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit more, obviously, in more risky situations like that. Busa 2017 join Jetstar. Just normal. What's that? What's normal with Jetstar? Star. Uh-oh, we got the airline rivalries going here. Scary flights. Is Jetstar like the Ryanair of Australia? Of the down under? We still got some clouds. Maybe we wanna keep temperature. Actually throw on anti-ice. Be safe. Kyle to Qantas. Okay, for sure they are cracking down on trucks at the moment here in Oz. Had a few big crashes lately. Yeah, we had the last one. I mean, there's always big crashes, but the last big one was, I got a lot of kind of coverage. Was we had, gotta be like, I was still over the road driving. I've been like the last year and a half. I'm now local with our company, so I'm home every night, and that's really nice. And actually make more. But when I was over the road, so this would have been about 2-3 years ago now, there was a big, probably 4 years ago, like 2-3 years ago was when the trial concluded and the driver was sentenced to, I'd have to look and see what happened now, but he was like, yeah, he was basically life in prison. And it felt really bad for him at one point, but at the same time it was like, you didn't do what you should have been doing. He kind of got, he seemed like he was, I think he was a Mexican driver too. He was, pretty new to the country. He wasn't from the US natively, so kind of being taken advantage of a little bit. So there was a little bit of that. But also, again, it's like, you don't get in a truck and don't do your pre-trips. You got to make sure your brakes are working. You got to, and not even that, even if you don't do your pre-trip, what he did was he was out on Interstate 70, which is out in the western United States. It goes through the Rocky Mountains. And I believe he was traveling eastbound. So he was coming out of the Rockies, I think, into Denver or something like that. Or it might have been going down, it might have been going west and coming out of the Rockies, out of the Sierras into California. It's one way or the other, right? Coming down the mountains, and there's a stretch there where Like I've never driven that with a semi truck. I think I did it in our car. You know, and I've done some mountains here in the East Coast of the U.S. They're nothing compared to this. But even here in the West, there's like a Mont Eagle. There's a few places where you get to the top. Hey, Matty Farr, thanks for the follow. Thank you very much. I didn't expect all this cloud cover. Thank you very much. We're flying out to Norfolk Island from Brisbane. We're right now over the ocean. Just water out there, so not much to see outside the plane except for the plane itself. Plus we got this kind of IFR conditions right now. But so this guy was coming down out of the mountains, and even out east, when you have a steep grade, a long steep grade, and it's typically the length of the grade. If it's like a mile, 2-3 miles of a descent, what they usually do is they'll have a pullover place where you're required to pull over to prepare yourself for the descent. Make sure that your brakes are ready, that you have your engine brake set or whatever. And because you're stopped, now when you get rolling again, you're not already going 60, 70, 80 miles per hour, whatever you were doing. You're coming from a stop, and usually they'll have a speed limit going down the hill, like, hey, semi-trucks, you can only go 35 or 45. That way you're always staying in control of the truck. So Mont Eagle, that was nothing compared to what they have out in the Rockies, on the Rocky Mountain. The Rocky Mountain's obviously a way bigger, higher, steeper mountain range out west in the U.S. And so he was coming down, and he skipped that stop point. So he did not stop to make sure that his brakes were cool and all that stuff. And so he's coming down the mountain, and he's not using it. It appears that he didn't use his engine brakes. And so what he was doing is he was using his actual service foot brakes, right? Just the pedals, right? The pedal in your car and your truck, you know, just those regular air brakes. Well, in trucks, they're air brakes, and so you're burning off that. Every time you use the brakes, you're bleeding air. Air is being used, and so if you're not bringing that back in, you could lose your brakes. Not usually an issue while you're moving because you're always generating more air. It's always pulling more air in. But what happened is that he probably overheated his brakes, and so then you lose, your brakes aren't really doing anything. Now, to avoid overheating your brakes and your service brakes, the brakes that are actually on your wheels, you use that engine brake. You use your engine, you downshift, and the engine will actually start pulling you back and slowing you down, which is how you're supposed to do these lengthy descents, not be on your brake. You can smell it when truck drivers are on their brakes, because you'll smell the rubber burning and the brakes burning and heating up, and you know, hey, that guy's not doing it right. And so at some point he lost his brakes, and so now he's gaining speed. He's accelerating down this steep grade, and he's got miles to go, so he's getting really fast. Now on these steep grades, they'll also have truck runoffs. They'll have these runoff ramps that will it's like a ramp to get off the freeway or off the highway, but it doesn't go to anywhere, and it has a bunch of rocks and gravel and sand to slow your truck down. You're going to have damage to your truck. You're going to need to get towed out. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but it's better than doing what this guy did. He kept skipping those. That's where his problem comes in now. He probably didn't do a pre-check, a pre-trip check. He didn't stop at the top of the mountain at where you're supposed to stop and do a check and make sure your brakes are good and everything else, and you're ready to go and you understand how to go down this mountain. And then he skipped multiple truck runoffs. Like he didn't, so I don't know if he didn't understand how those worked or if he just didn't want to go through all the hassle. But he got down, and he's now pushing 90, 100 miles per hour because he has no control. He has no brakes. He's swerving all over the highway on his way down. We have camera footage of this from driver's dash cams. And he gets down, and there's a traffic jam. So I think he might have been going into Denver. There was a city right that this grade goes into, and there was a traffic jam. There had been an accident, and traffic was stopped. And because he had no brakes, he smashed right into that. And I can't remember how many people were killed. It was just a massive thing, and again, it wasn't intentional. So that's where you feel this, like, it's always a thing when it comes like, well, how do we punish people, right? Like, he didn't intend to kill other people, but he did because of negligence, because he didn't do things he was supposed to do. And oh yeah, I remember. And then it became, obviously in the U.S. we have all this racial issues. So I think he was actually Puerto Rican. He wasn't Mexican. He was Puerto Rican. But you know, again, being kind of English as his second language, it didn't seem like he had been here that long, so he wasn't as familiar with everything here. And I remember I was talking to my wife about this, and a guy in the truck overheard me talking about it, and he was Puerto Rican. He said, "Yeah, that guy deserves the penalty. He didn't do his job properly." Yeah, he got a ton of jail time, like basically a life sentence. I don't think it was a life sentence, but it was like 183 years or something. And I think it's being appealed. I haven't followed it since, like what it eventually ended up being. Because in Colorado, yeah, I think it happened in Colorado. So in Colorado, where this happened, literally the judge has to do back-to-back, like the law, the way the law is, the sentencing just ended up being that way. And people are like, oh, this is just ridiculous. And it's like, well, but that's just the way the law is. He can't. The judge's hands are tied. That he had to sentence him that way. But I remember, it became this big thing. It's like, oh, this is racism, or this is a racial thing. And it's, and it was very interesting because a lot of people in the, the Puerto Rican, I ran into a number of Puerto Rican truckers that were like, oh yeah, that guy cut a lot of corners and didn't do what he's supposed to do. It sucks, but he didn't do his job. He wasn't professional. And the scary thing is that a lot of guys out there, that's what it is. I mean, a lot of guys. Now that I work local, I work a lot of spotting, so just moving trailers around at a brewery here at Miller Brewery in Milwaukee. And so many of the guys coming in are, quote unquote, fresh off the boat, right? They're, I don't know how long they've been here, but this is probably their first real gig in the U.S. maybe as a truck. I mean, suddenly they're out there driving a truck and they have a very limited grasp of English, which doesn't work when you have a lot of impatient Americans who don't understand that not everyone knows our language. A lot of truck drivers right now are coming in and don't know English very well. And for me, it's like I'm very patient with that because my wife is from China. I've worked in China for 8 years, and I was the person that had no grasp of their language, so kind of recognizing that. But
New Zealand 148, radar contact, maintain, flight level 340.
That's not
Maintain, flight
Zealand.
level 340, New Zealand 148.
But what gets me is when you tell them something, you show them something, you try to explain it, and they do it wrong. And that sometimes it's like, okay, that might have been lost in translation. But the worst is when they do stuff, when they just do things trucking-wise, like they do weird backing, they get themselves in weird situations, they don't do things that their boss, a lot of these guys are working for companies who are run by people from they're the same background, same ethnic or national background, language. And so the people training them speak the same language, and they're getting this fly-by-night kind of training, and it's kind of scary because I see some of the stuff these guys do, and it's like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. That's not safe. You're not putting yourself in a safe situation there. But yeah, crazy. Matey Farr. Hey Captain, I'm actually looking for someone to fly shared cockpit in the PMDG 737-800 with anyone. Would you fly shared cockpit off stream? Yeah, possibly off stream. We could do that at some point. I think, let me just make sure that it's set up. If it actually takes you to. But go over and join my Discord. Perfect. Just put in, if you put an exclamation point, this actually. There it is. Okay, join that Discord, and There's a program for it. It's called, I think it's called My Controls, or Your Controls. I think it's Your Control. One or the other. I did do one a few years ago with I believe he was an I believe he was an A320 pilot for Lufthansa. So that was kind of fun. But I'd have to look into it. I haven't installed it. I don't have it installed, so I have to set that all up first and make sure it's all working. But it has a few bugs. It's not perfect, but it's pretty cool to have to do that. And then, but I had an issue that once I wasn't doing the shared cockpit, but I still had that program installed, it was causing a lot of lag issues with my sim. Like, my frame rate was just terrible. I'd have crashes, and eventually we narrowed it down that it was like, oh, it's because you have the shared, this is actually an issue with shared cockpit, that if you're not using shared cockpit, at least a couple of years ago, it messes things up with, you know, flying on your own. It just messes with the sim for some reason. So hopefully that's been something that's been worked out. Because, yeah, I've gotten a few requests to do that. Yeah, if you guys are also, I don't have a ton of stuff on. I haven't made a ton of, I don't make a ton of, did I just turn off? Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I'll have to make a, I don't have a ton of YouTube specific like content anymore. I haven't had time to make it, but I do want to make some stuff like that. Get back into making a few tutorials here and there. That might be one I'll have to do once I figure out how to do it again. A shared cockpit thing. Let's see if I can find it. Shared cockpit. There's something we can find. Yeah, it's Your Controls, I think. There's a GitHub. Sometimes it's always good to go to the GitHub and download. Okay, so they have a version 2.7.7 May 25th. So that's actually, that means it's been updated lately. There's the GitHub. It's called Your Controls. Okay, you know, they've added a lot of different profiles, it looks like. They've updated a few things, updated different profiles. I'm always wondering why these Latin VFR ones are already on version 2, but like the fly-by-wire is only version 0.1. Even though this has been available for a long time. So they must just be doing it slower because there's so much more stuff to do. Here it says remove fly-by-wire development to experimental, so maybe you have to use the stable version of the fly-by-wire A32NX with it. That'd be a lot of stuff to look at there. Yeah, doing it, I would definitely, it'd be cool to, I've only done in the A320. I have FS to crew for the A320 and for the A32NX fly-by-wire, which is pretty cool. You get the AI first officer, which makes it flying a little bit more enjoyable because you have the two different flows and kind of makes it more realistic there. But obviously, yeah, flying with someone else who knows what they're doing too, and you guys both know your flows and how to do it. When I did it a few years ago, I wasn't really sure. You know, I'm flying. Here I am flying with this real life pilot, and he's kind of like asking me what I want to do. I'm like, I don't know. You got to teach me how to do what flows I got to do. What do I do? What do you do, right? So So yeah, join my Discord. Give me some messages. No promises, but yeah, eventually we can hopefully arrange that at some point. Do it offline, flying together. I have such, like I said, I'm so busy with, I work 60 hours a week. I have a 18-month-old kid, so it's like I stream in the morning, and that's about all I can do with Microsoft Flight Simulator. So but yeah, it definitely does take it. Now combine that, doing your controls and VATSIM. Yeah, for sure. It'd be really cool if they could natively put that in. That'd be something to look. I wonder if they're thinking about doing that with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. That'd be a great addition to put in natively shared cockpit, where it's because your controls is a little finicky. Again, I haven't used it or looked into it since I used it about 2 years ago. So it's been updated. It's up to version 2.7.7 May 25th this year. So it means they're still working on it. There is still stuff being fixed. Yeah, that's something I'd have to set up and make sure I get it all. I'll have to look into it, make sure. I wonder if I can set it up. I'll have to look in to see if I can set it up, have it installed and sitting on my computer without it damaging when I'm not using it. That was an issue, or that's why I don't have it installed. I've also since built a new computer too, so that's another reason. But yeah. Definitely. What I need to do too is a little involved. I need to update these links all the time. Mods. Try to get my mod list set up for you guys. You want to check that out. Fortunately, I can't put links for all of them. Not enough. Doesn't give you enough room. like how the camera tips over. This one. Here we go. Alright, so we got the GPS up there for you guys. Hey, falling. Welcome back. Kind of at the cruise portion of the flight. Not a lot going on. Hey, Bojan. Welcome in. Doing all right. Doing all right. Able to get a flight in here. Getting things free. Trying to set a few things up here in OBS. I want to kind of add in a few more scenes just to make my life a little easier when popping up maps and turn off the webcam and all that stuff. Kind of got a little rough and. Otherwise, good. Doing good. I got 2 days off here. Might be able to do 2 flights today. We'll see. I'm gonna have to step away here probably in a moment, and kind of powwow with my wife and see what her plans are for today. She's having a whole bunch of people over for lunch, so she's got a bunch of things she wants to do this morning, and when she's getting up here, might throw a little time acceleration hint in on this cruise once I know what's going on, so we can maybe get this flight finished a little bit quicker than an hour, maybe get done in half an hour. Get into Norfolk Island, and then possibly, depending on what the plans look like, maybe we'll be able to fly back from Norfolk Island back to Sydney. Which would be nice. It is. It really is. I mean, I was just reading an article where they were more stuff has come off about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and they're talking about how they're going to make graphics look even better than, and obviously they should. I mean, if you're going to be 4 years removed from the last iteration, yeah, graphics should improve. I hope they improve the graphics. I hope they improve the assets. My biggest hope is that they can get the auto-generated stuff like airports and places where it's not all handcrafted to be better. Like some of these airports be really rough, and if no one goes in and modifies them to make them better, they can just be a real disaster. And it's sad because some of these airports are big airports, big important airports to go to. I also hope that they bring in Hangzhou International Airport in China. It blows me away that there's an airport. I mean, there's a number of Chinese airports missing, but really annoying because it'd be a cool airport to fly into, because I used to live in Hangzhou and I flew there a few times, flew in and out of the airport a few times. I flew into Hangzhou, or into Shanghai more often later on, but I did do a few flights from Beijing to Hangzhou. I think Hangzhou up to Tianjin, which is the city nearby Beijing. I think we did Hangzhou down to, what is it? Bangkok. I remember that was a middle of the night flight. But yeah, I can't do those flights, and it really limits what flights I can do when I'm doing this world tour also, or flights. Sometimes I want to do like my next thing I want to do is I just want to fly different airlines all over the world, show off their liveries, but also be able to, it'll give me a chance to fly different routes that I wouldn't even think of. Besides this world tour, a lot of the world tour flight, I'm kind of flying from, major city in a country to a major city in another country, right? This is probably the big international hub. But if I'm doing a domestic airline for, China or Turkmenistan or something, or somewhere in Africa, it's like I'm going to be flying between some other airports, and there are actually some airports that I just can't fit in on the world tour because they don't work on the legs to set up for the next flight. But there are some really good freeware airports I'd love to fly to, and so that's my next one. But when I'm trying to, the first flight I want to do is I want to do like a Chinese airline flight in China, a domestic flight. But so many of the flights I'm looking at, it's like they'll fly into Hangzhou, or they fly into an airport that doesn't exist in Flight Simulator for some reason, which is something I never ran into in X-Plane. I never had a problem with airports in X-Plane. Now, how much that airport was developed depended on who wanted to put some time into it, developing it. I'm looking forward to. There was a number of things that they were talking about in that article. I was like, oh, maybe they're going to take my money, even though I probably can't afford it next year. Comes out, because I'll be hopefully in the midst of flight training, or at least starting in next year. I don't know when the 2024 is going to come out, the flight sim is going to come out, but my goal is May, possibly June, possibly April, somewhere in the spring, early summer, starting flight training at ATP Flight School here in the U.S. And haven't locked it down yet because it's a $995 deposit, non-refundable deposit. So I want to make sure all of our plans are set, and pretty much we have everything figured out if we can do this before I set when I'm going to start doing this. But I know that once I set that date, I think the nervousness is going to go even more up than right now, where I'm thinking about it. I'm really geared up to do it, but nothing's set in stone yet. 'Cause, man, I read about sometimes, like I read on the forums, it's like about money. It's like, oh, how do I deal with money? Or then it's like, oh yeah, how am I going to deal with that? And then it's like, it's a more talking about training, like, the workload of training, or that. And I'm like, oh, am I going to be able to do that? Or, even just the decision making in flight. Oh, am I going to be, that self-doubt that creeps in every once in a while. Like, can I do it? But I really want to try it. I really want to do it. You can't. It's almost like some of the guys I've talked to on the forums for ATP. These are guys who went through. They're pilots now, and they went through when it wasn't even the climate that is now, where you can. I mean, basically, if you have your rating or you have your certificates and everything and your licenses, and you have your hours, and you're not a complete psychopath, and you can interview decently enough, you're going to get hired by the regional airlines because they need pilots. And within a few years, you will probably get hired by a major airline and be making really, really, really good money really quick and not slogging through like some of these guys. One guy I talked to who fits more into where I'm coming from is he was, I think, 39 when he went to flight school, when he decided to do this, when he decided to do this big career change. Now, of course, he owned a restaurant, so he had some money coming from when he sold his restaurant. But he had 3 kids, a wife. He had to leave them behind for 7-8 months while he did his training somewhere else, which luckily I won't have to do, even though, well, I don't have to do, well, I don't have to do. We're going to do it. My wife and my son are going to go travel back to China and spend time with her family, which is kind of killing 2 birds with one stone, because she gets to go back and spend time with her family, but then also that saves money on insurance here in the U.S. for us. I can rent out our house and I can just live somewhere, I can live with my parents or a friend and save a ton of money, which I'm not going to be making any money, so that. But he did all that, and he did all that when you'd finish your flight training and maybe get a CFI job, maybe get a low-hour job. I mean, everyone was fighting over these jobs, and then you get these jobs and you're getting paid next to nothing. And so, and then if you somehow got to an airline, to a regional or whatever it was, you were making $30,000 a year. In today's money, $30,000 a year. Like, now it's like you get to a regional airline. Most of the regionals, I mean, it's insane how some of the regionals, like Air Wisconsin, which would be a really cool one. That'd be one I would, for quality of life would be really awesome, because if I could get based in Milwaukee, because they have a base in Milwaukee, but they also have a base in Appleton and near where I live, so it's not much of a commute. They're 2 bases. I think they're based in Appleton and Milwaukee. So like, okay, well, even if I get the commuting base, it's only an hour and a half, right? Versus a lot of other regionals, I could get stuck anywhere, right? But they only pay, like, first year, you're only going to make like $57,000 to $60,000 a year. It's like, okay, not terrible, but when you compare it to what I'm making right now at my job, I'm making $80,000, working a ton, breaking my butt. But you look at the other airlines like an Envoy, Endeavor, SkyWest. Those are the ones at least the ones that I've looked at. They're paying 80, they're paying 80, 90, 100,000 a year you can make if you get the hours, obviously. Even I think that's even with minimum of the minimum guarantee. It's like, wow, how are they competing? I mean, I get it. Air Wisconsin's not a big one, but you're competing for pilots, and I guess again, maybe those pilots make that decision. It's like, well, I'm willing to take that ding that first year, but it lets me stay close to home. I don't have to commute. That might be or in the future that it's like I'll be able to be, not have to commute, and you take that hit that first year. But that's really hard when you have no money. But I suppose if you have no money and you figured out how to live with no money, making more than $30,000, now you're making $60,000 is going to be a dream. That's what when I did my discovery flight, the guy I did, the flight instructor, who he's just a few months now, like maybe next month he'll be interviewing or getting called up by a regional. He's like, yeah, it'll be so great to be making some real money again, because he's making $20,000 to $30,000 doing the CFI. I'm loving every minute of it, but money is a concern. Makes everything run, right? What was I talking about? I was talking about the flight simulator. So I know people have asked us like, oh, are you gonna get Flight Simulator? Are you gonna get a Flight Simulator 2024? I probably will, but we'll see what my finances are, what my time is. Maybe I just, you know, it depends on if I even have time at that point to be doing stuff at all. I'm sure I'll have a little bit of time, you know, to decompress and do some streams with you guys and check out 2024. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If I don't, I'll be back in this sim, and you guys will all be laughing, going, ah ha ha, ours is so much more beautiful. We got so many more features. I mean, I'm interested in the different, like the crop dusting, all those different little career things you can do that they're going to add in, which that'll be interesting. I don't know how much I'll do those because I like to do the airline flights, but I think if you add in those career ones, those will be actually things to do. Have a little bit more of a mission. Or the smaller planes. I don't tend to fly smaller planes, but it's not fun when I do, especially being able to see sights, VFR, or VFR kind of stuff. As I said, I'm going to step away here for a moment. We're going to give the controls to the first officer. I'm going to go back and schmooze, I guess. I'm going to maybe grab some breakfast or see if what's stirring downstairs. It's getting around that time. And by the time I get back, we'll be getting our clearances and balls to defend. Actually, I'm going to do that really quick right now because technically, technically what my FS HUD ATC has in not what we're actually going to. Like runway 29 is going to be our headed at our dash taff. I'll bring that up for you guys. Our taff, go up here. We're looking at Yankee Sierra. November, no idea. Foxtrot. Really forgot it. Norfolk. Alright, so you can see we got. Oh, that's the time. Sorry. 28, 1300 Zulu. So that's about 33 minutes old at this point. Winds 230 degrees at 12 knots. We got a little bit of wind. Unlimited visibility. Scattered clouds at 2700. And at 3000. We also have broken clouds at 5600. You can see a visual of that. QNH 1010, temperature 16 degrees. So we'll probably use the anti-ice just to be safe coming through these clouds. I believe I turned the anti-ice off. Oh, okay. We have runway 29. We can do runway 22. I'm gonna go to my airport chart. Quick. Do a little flight planning here on the fly, but hey, so you can see this runway is only 4,000 feet, so that's a little bit too short. So that's why we're kind of limited to 29 or 11. We're going to be coming in 2.9. You can see here it's got a little on Navigraphs it shows us the winds. We got this 12 knot crosswind, so again it would be ideal to come in 22, but I believe that runway will be too short for. Actually put that into the calculator. Calculator. Do our landing. Let's see if we do runway 22. Let's see if we can do it. I don't think we can. Yeah, you can see right here, available. So we're going to have to do runway 29. Now we can fit. Dang, this runway is too short also. It is. I can't even use the calculator because both runways are too short. Technically, it's saying. It's a shorter runway, but we should be able to. I'm not going to get any help from my calculator on this one. Awesome. Alright. Go away. You're useless. This is a real life flight though, and it is flown in the Boeing 737-800, so it is landable. Obviously I would land at the longer runway. So we're going to be looking at runway 29. We'll bring back up the MEDAR. And you see runway 29, you got that crosswind. Basically, you could do 11 or 29. We're doing 29 right now. You've got a headwind of 4. Think about a headwind component of about 4 knots. Oh. Is what it is there. Back to my chart. So what I have in here planned is to do a runway 29. We're gonna do the RNAV. We have no ILS, so we're doing RNP X-ray, runway 29. AR, I'm not sure what it is. Our final approach course, 287. Buddha, right here, 2,000 feet mandatory. Our decision altitude is 690. Airport elevation is 371. Pretty high actually compared to where we were, so it must be up on kind of like on the, a little bit up off the beach. This is kind of interesting. I've never seen this right here. Track 287 to Mumsy, thence track 287. Thence. It's been a while since I've seen thence. I've never seen it on a chart. Very cool. Yeah, so we're gonna get to Dallows, and then we're gonna go into our approach. Buddha, we need to be at 2,000 feet. Looks like about 3,300 right here at Becky. Around max 210 at Amsta, 2,000, 2,000. Basically, at this turn, we're gonna be around 2,000 feet. And then for runway 29. Once we get in for runway 29, we're going to land. We're probably going to have to double back because we're not going to be able to stop before runway. It looks like we're also going to have to use the runways as the taxiways. And we'll come in and we'll park over here. So, really small airport. But from what I saw when I was taking my screenshot for the next flight for the thumbnail, it's pretty beautiful. Pretty beautiful area. Okay, so this is actually a new one too. June 9th, 2023. So this is actually an updated chart only in this month. And just effective in the last 13 days, last 2 weeks. So that's a pretty new chart. Let's go in and we're gonna set up our arrival. Looking at RNAV 29 or RNAV X9 X-ray, and we're at Dallows. Execute. Check out the legs. There's Dallows, Becky, Amsta, 210. I think above 3,300 feet. That's about what these are either. Kind of weird about these reference points. Yeah, kind of weird that they have these reference points in. I guess they want to make sure it curves and not just straight line. But those altitudes are all wrong. They should all be 2,000. So, I can change. Because we're going to be using the VNAV, and the VNAV is going to get confused. kind of want to get it down there. All right, that should be fine. Actually, I get it now because we still need to be at 3,300 feet at AMSTA actually, and then it goes down on our way down to 2,000 by Hotas. Because 3,300 at AMSTA, because that is a hold point. So if we need to hold, we can go in here. We're gonna get our flaps to 40. That in right now. Kind of a lot of our approach stuff is complete. Don't have an ILS. We do have our. I wish they put the VFR or VOR on the. On all the time. On 2.4. Are my cameras here? Okay, 1, 2, 4. All right. The VOR is in. Fluffy chairs, man. Fluffy chairs. I wonder if those are comfortable. I mean, I suppose they are to a certain extent. So what happens after? Do they replace those every once in a while? Because those gotta get pretty nasty or busted up. Is this my flight number? Is this supposed to be my flight number? I think it is. I don't know what this is supposed to be for. Let's put our final course in. Alright, I'm going to step away for a moment, and I will be back, hopefully in time for our descent. Let's zoom out here again. There's our top of descent right there. I think we can actually... Doesn't... Not like in the Airbus where it shows you the top descent point, how far you are out from it. They're coming up on it. Looks like about just under 120 nautical miles. Well, I'm going to leave you with the GPS map, and I will see you in 5-10 minutes.
to 183. Expect November Foxtrot 1, VORDM. Approach runway 04. Report when ready for descent.
Alright, so we just got a call there expecting November Foxtrot 1, VOR, DME approach runway 4. That's all I could put in. But I'm going to try to change it here. We're going to go, yeah, see, it's only giving me, for some reason, it does not recognize runway 29. Runway 29 not exist in the sim. I don't know. So we're going to come in, it must because we have it here, but for some reason, FS HUD ATC does not recognize it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to accept that, fine, whatever. We're probably going to just ignore, we're just going to turn off ATC because they don't recognize those two runways for some reason, which is really weird.
Expect on up.
Alright, so we're going to just take care of everything ourselves, as if there is no runway or ATC because, yeah, it's kind of not working. We were already in the VNAV descent. Already see we're falling behind a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go vertical speed. Sometimes we wants to like I'd rather get descent. Now see the problem is now VNAV's not, so I don't have the little thing, but I'd rather get descended where we need to be a little early. I tend to have issues on these descents lately where get in and we're then fighting to get the speed down and get to altitude and all that. We have to extend downwind and all that. For some reason, it's like we just can never get the proper fight in. Even the VNAV is like, no, we don't want to go down that fast. But why are you falling behind? Because we could be right there. It's already saying drag required. Why do I need drag? I shouldn't, I guess, speed down, but get a little bit. Nice thing is we can actually apply drag in this plane. Fly by wire, for some reason, the speed brakes aren't working anymore, so we gotta be very careful with that. Alright, let's do our pressurization. We're going to be going with 350. Actually go 400. Round up. Alright, descent checklist. Pressurization, landing altitude 400. Recall checked. Auto brake 3. Landing data VREF. ERAF 144. Laps 40. Minimum 690. Let's get that set. Minimum 690 set. Approach briefing completed. Altimeters 1010. So let's get that set in here. Altimeter set. Descent checklist complete. We're just going to go all the way down to 3,300 for Dallos. Alright, we're getting pretty close. Still can't see the island. It might actually get that right there. It actually might be Norfolk Island right there. Doesn't look like much, and I'm just surprised the airport's at 300 or almost 400 feet above the sea level. Doesn't look like there's much to it. Pretty flat. We'll see. Alright, so we're going runway 29. I'm not hearing any ATC because for some reason FS HUD ATC does not recognize runway 11 and runway 29, which is the only runway we can land on at this airport. It recognizes the crossing runway, which is too small for our plane, and so I can't get any clearance or proper vectors and stuff for that runway. So we're gonna go on this one. Runway 29, course 287. We have the VOR in as a backup, but we're going to be doing the RNAV. I think how the same VOR, but the distance is slightly different. Okay, see me over here, looking over here. I'm just looking at some new, always looking at freeware airport, and there's a bunch of ones I want to look at. I think maybe even this afternoon, if I don't do another flight, maybe this afternoon I'll record a video doing checking out some of these free airport sides. I think look fantastic, especially a bunch of Japanese ones I'm really interested to fly in and out of. Hey Sasha. Wasn't time for our landing. Let's bleed that speed off, get down 250. Again, we still are too high. I don't know what the VNAV is going off of, because it's like we need to be above. I guess we above 300 feet. We are technically, so, but I prefer to be down closer to 3 because we need to also get down to 210. So. Right. Landing lights on. I'm having real speed issues lately, like where I cannot get the speed to be controlled. You know, I got the I got the speed brake. We just cannot. The VNAV is not descending properly. To follow the triangle, it needs to go over speed. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what the problem is lately with the descent. Also, why the triangle dove so much and caused us to go over speed. I don't know what it is. It's like these planes I can't get these planes to even descend at any rate on these approaches without going over speed. Like the planes, I don't know what it is lately, but I can't get these planes configured to descend properly. The VNAV just, you cannot get to these points, but the top of descent, unless you descend way early, you can't. If you go from the top of descent, you're going to be late all the time. I don't know what's happened to the flight computers, but they're not computing properly as of late, where we can actually get into these approaches and not be overshooting and having to extend downwind. And you know, we're on the triangle. We're at the VNAV 1200, but we're gaining speed because we cannot go any slower. And I got the speed brake extended. So this is very weird to me. I don't remember this at first. The longest time, it's like you'd do the Boeing and you'd go VNAV and it would take you in perfectly. And I have just been a mess lately where it's like I can't stay under 250 when it will not go to that speed. We're at complete idle. That's the problem too, is in cruise. Why is it in cruise? Why? This is the crazy thing with the weather. Our weather report told us we had broken clouds and scattered clouds. We got nothing. It might just be an out of date. Yep. Now we have it updated. Still have scattered clouds 2,500 feet according to the latest MEDAR. The wind has shifted a little bit more our direction. We only have an 8-knot crosswind and a 6-knot headwind. That's good. Still struggling mightily to get down to even 240. We need to be at Amsta. We need to be about 210. I don't know what we're supposed to do on that. insane how this plane cannot slow it. I don't. What am I doing wrong, guys? On the fly-by-wire, the A321X and this one, I cannot get down speed, and if I try to get down speed, then I can't get any descent. Like my plane is not configured right. I don't know. I have the speed brake extended to make it that I can go slower, and it just is that the problem that I have the speed brake extended? Do I not have? I mean, I'm a little confused. A little confused. See right there, 210. So it should be, yeah, there it goes. Now it's attempting to go down. But you can see how it's just losing any extendability. Islands look a little, leaves a little to be desired. Descend here? No? Like, just the battle can't get the plane to go down. Right? It's like you gotta get your speed down, but you can't descend then in time. Your rate of descent is gonna kill everything. We're down to 149 by high, isn't it? No, we got time action. We'll be fine. Yeah, there we go.
2500.
Landing checklist down to the line. Engine start switches. Continuous. Speed brake armed. Landing gear down. Flaps 2. There. Flaps 5. Flaps 10. Flaps 15. Flaps 25. Flaps 30. Flaps 40. Complete landing checklist. Flaps 40, green light. Clear for landing, runway 29. Onto 183. That white dot that popped up? I've been seeing that. People have been talking about having a white dot. There it was, I saw it. Not too big of a deal. Let's see how much the crosswind is there.
Approaching minimums.
Holy cow, crosswind.
100.
Holy cow,
Sync
crosswind.
rate. Sync rate. Sync rate.
Really short. Go.
30. 20. 10.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That is a short runway. That was not a very stable approach. That's a go around worthy right there, but you can see that windsock. Why it's not, it doesn't have the orange on it, but we got landed. Wow. Not only was the wind getting us, but then it was like then started drifting to the right, getting pushed to the right, but then also didn't seem like we were coming down. We used up a lot of runway there. Not the best landing in the world. Firm 347 feet per minute, but that was kind of one where we just needed to get it down at that point. Gotta turn my strobe lights. You on? APU start, probe switches off, engine start selectors off for auto, landing lights, oh we're not there yet, once we get off the runway, flight director switches come off. Weather radar off. As I said, very beautiful airport here with the trees and everything right around. Hey kid, welcome in. Just in time for us to taxi into the parking. Even get GSX ready to go. There it is. Or I could just look on the ground. Hot one. Doing actually 1 alpha. And parking brake set. Taxi light, runway turn off lights off. APU gen. Speed on. And cut off the engines. Belt signs off. Turn out the fuel pump switches. Anti-collision light can come off. Strobe. Window heat switches can come off. Hydraulic pumps off. Circulation as desired. Air condition, PAX auto. Ventilation valve open. APU and engine bleed air on. Interior lights as required. Flight deck lights. Parking brake. And let's get the chocks. Dock set. Let's request ground power. And start deboarding.
The boarding requested.
Probably should have gone to gate 1. I'm guessing gate 1 is where I'm supposed to. We'll see. I think I set up. I know I set up one of these gates actually for GSX to make sure everything was working. It might be this one. It does have the path. We'll see. What is the price? Let's see. What can we find? Now they've announced the next simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So it'll be coming out next year, possibly. I can find a price here for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020.
Passenger's bus is coming.
Let's see, standard edition is $60. Deluxe 40th anniversary edition is $90. Premium deluxe, which is what I have, is $120. So still the same prices they were when they first came out. Nothing has gone down in price. But basically between $60 and $120, depending on how many little extras you want. Boarding requested.
Passengers, the boarding starting.
And they got the bus there. That's not. Yeah, so I must have set up a different gate to do it, because this is one where they should just be walking. So I unfortunately went to the wrong gate. Just that. Start over. There's gate 1, see that? It's just for me there. Okay, it is. So, oh, there we go. Okay, why is it taking so long? Alright, here we go. Let's get the
The boarding request.
Now it should work with this walkway is what they should do. They should walk inside. So I don't know why the flagger was having me come to 1A, even though I picked one, and I knew one was the one I wanted to go to. Pretty airport, I think. This is a freeware upgrade to this Norfolk airport. So the link is there. You can go, if you're on Discord, you can go !mod links, or if you're on YouTube, it is in the description. While we're waiting for the passengers to deboard, let's go to Valanta and get a view of our flight. So we're the second person to arrive at Norfolk Island. Interesting. So you see our departure, arrival, do the flight. Flight time, 1 hour 44 minutes. Landing rate a little bit firm there, but we also were dealing with the crosswinds, and we had a short runway. We need to get down and on the ground and get things slowed down. 820 nautical miles, fuel burn just over 5,000 kilograms, landing speed 144 knots. You can see it came in pretty high speed, but that's actually pretty much where we should have been. Usually I come in too slow. There come the passengers. Oh, actually, I gotta turn this off. There come the passengers. Now you can see them. Let's pull up the world map, world tour map. There it is. Everywhere we've flown to so far on this world tour, and today we are on this tiny little island of Norfolk. That. Go. There's Norfolk. There's the flag. Back out to the whole world and tiny little Norfolk down there. Next flight will be headed back to Sydney, and then from Sydney we'll be flying out to, I get it right here. Back to Sydney, and then we'll be flying out to Port Vila Bowerfield International Airport in Vanuatu. So right now we're just south of Vanuatu and New Caledonia. We're about a little bit northwest of New Zealand, and obviously due east of Australia, right in between. So there are no real life flights between Norfolk and Vanuatu, so we're going to fly back to Sydney, and then we'll have a longer flight from Sydney Vanuatu on Air Vanuatu. We'll be in the Boeing. Next flight will be in Qantas back to Sydney in the 737-800. This same plane actually. Turn around for flight 180. And then Air Vanuatu will be on flight 11, the Boeing 737-800 out there. Then we're going to have 5 ATR flights in a row, one with Air Vanuatu and then 4 with Link Fiji Link, flying up to Tuvalu. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of practicing on that. Those flights might come up quicker than I'm ready for them, but well, maybe this afternoon I have to do another ATR flight or something. Make sure I know how to do it. Because I had a few good ones, and then the last one I did, landing, everything went wrong on landing for some reason. I don't know what happened. Alright, well, thank you for coming along on the flight. I will see you possibly a little bit later here in the morning, in the afternoon. If not, for sure we'll be flying tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., same time as this flight started. I believe that's 1200 Zulu, noon Zulu time. But you can always double check that. I should just have that written down somewhere, but again, thank you for coming on the flight. Thanks for all the follows over on Twitch today. If you haven't already on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you are watching on Twitch, also hit that follow button. It is totally free. And as always, if you want to drop a tip, there are links for that. And you can, of course, subscribe on Twitch, and hopefully that money comes my way. That always helps out buying new cool things. All right, I will see you later or tomorrow in the morning. Till then, take care. Happy flying.